taking the rib section of a loin of Scotch lamb, and we're going to turn this into a boneless little roll or joint, or some lamb noisettes. I'm just going to do the simplest version, which is basically take the bones out all in one piece, and then a little bit of trimming, and then tying up at the end. So to start with, I want to take the meat off. You can see the ribs. Rather than taking out all these bones individually, I'm going to use a method that we term as sheet boning, and it's a matter of just taking all this rib section out in one sheet. So it's putting the knife close to the back of the ribs, make a nice clean sweep, and we're doing it so we don't make any incisions into the meat. So it's peeling that meat off the back of the bones. When we get to this section here, a little bit more care is needed because we're coming to the back of the eye muscle of that loin. So again, it's keeping that knife close into the bone section. As I get to the bottom, the bones are just going to go slightly round and then down onto the flat of the table. So once we've cleared that, we just make sure that finish that off. I turn that round so you can see that now we're working on the underside. We've kept that nice and clean and the meat left on to a minimum, and here we've done it so we have no deep cuts or incisions, as this is the expensive part of the loin. The ribs at this point contain a little bit of meat. That can be trimmed at a later stage for further processing into lamb mince. But working with the loin, still a little bit of trimming. We have here a bone cartilage. That is a cartilage tip of the blade bone. So we need to remove that by putting the knife across the top of that cartilage round, and we can actually pull that piece out. Closing that, checking that we don't have any bone splinters anywhere along. There is one other thing we need to remove, and that is this little long, round, yellow gristle. That is elastin. It is pure plate waste, and you can see as it's curling up, it's a stretchy connective tissue that we don't want to leave in this piece of meat. So now we've got our trimmed piece of loin. If you have excess fat down the centre, you can of course remove that. We'll do that in this case because I want a fairly even thickness of the tail here. So fat and the excess tissue comes out. That can be with the other trim from the ribs for mince. And now, for simplicity, I can wrap this tail around the eye muscle, like so. You can also remove the skin from the back of the loin. But we will just form that into a uniform cylindrical piece. It's then a matter of tying that together. Now I have two options here. I can use butcher string, or for simplicity, I can use butcher's elasticated roasting bands. As I'm not tying anything into the meat, it's just as easy to use these bands. Very simple to use. I open them up, getting the knot in the centre at the bottom, and it's just a matter of sliding that around the joint and letting go. And that is just repeated up and down that little boneless loin. I've started at the middle and then I work either side. It's up to you how many bands you put around, But the nice thing is that we can actually move these bands as to where we want them. So we're looking at getting a nice even spacing. One more around here. And there's our little compact rolled loin. When that is cooking, those bands actually can move so it doesn't squeeze the juice out, and we can use that now as a nice little boneless roast, or we can actually cut these into small medallions or noisettes. That is our boneless rib end of the loin of Scotch lamb.